Hey, what's up, guys? Jay Martin here. Hope you're having an amazing day so far. So, today's topic is a little bit of inspiration from Dr. John Demartini. Before we dive in today's video, I just want to give a little context on what you can expect. We're going to talk a little bit about societal perceptions. Have you ever wondered why so many people say they want to do something or be somebody, but not everybody persists in the achievement of what they actually say? What makes up the difference between achievers and dreamers? Now, if you're someone with big dreams, I highly suggest you stick to the end for this one. I truly hope you hold your attention for this one, guys. I promise you don't want to miss anything out. We'll be going over why what you want is not always what you're going to expect, and also some key nuggets that are, in my opinion, going to really change the way you think starting from today. And I won't leave you hanging from there. I'll also be sharing a few tactical things on mindset that can really push you further out into the ideal that you destined for yourself. So sit back, relax, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. So what's the deal here? Why are people having so many fantasies and dreams and then not living it? We all hear of people in our friend group that say they're going to do something, but they never do it. Or at least really put in the effort and try, right? So they talk the talk, but they rarely ever walk the walk. Which is fine, easier said than done. It takes a lot of humility when it doesn't happen, and in the process, a lot of patience and perseverance. It isn't an overnight thing. We're all like this in some areas of our life. I'll be the first one to admit, I can be like this too. But what this all leads to is the understanding of human values. Every human being has a set of priorities and a set of values, things that are most to least important in their life, that which is also evolving throughout your life. Your priorities and values change as you grow. That's the nature of growing up. Our way of thinking changes as we experience and learn new things, and it affects your perceptions, decisions, and actions. If you have a higher value on materialistic things like exotic cars, designer clothing, or consumables that depreciate in value so you can feel in the lifestyle of the rich and famous, more so than buying assets that go up in value that can accumulate and build financial independence from. If you have a higher value on materialistic possessions, you'll immediately go and spend your money on things and you'll wonder why you're beating yourself up, going, why can't I get ahead financially? Why can't I save money? Why do I always run out of money at the end of the month? So, the hierarchy of your values dictates your financial destiny. The hierarchy of your values dictates your relationships. It dictates your health, every aspect of your life. But here's where I bring up the biggest mistake on your dreams or your highest aspiration that trigger people when expectations don't match reality. For most people, what they expect and believe are their values actually aren't. If you go look at the people you admire, you think, oh, I want to be like them, so their values are my values too. So they aspire and want their values, and they think that's what it is. But you have to discover your personal answers because your personal answers are going to be different from mine and everybody else's. So you can't just cherry pick and choose people's values based on what they project outwards. You can't just say, oh, I want his body, I want her money, and I want his personality. You have to stop and say, do you actually want to be that person? With all of their reactions, their desire, their happiness level, their outlook in life, their self image. If you're not willing to go on a wholesale 100% swap with who that person is, then there's no point in trying to compare yourself to them. And people do this financial wise, health wise, social wise, looks. Once you get into that realization, comparison and jealousy completely fades away because I'm perfectly fine being me, and you should be perfectly fine being yourself. And by the way, that's under your control. To be happy being you. You can always be happier, you can always be better. This is why this saying is so common, but if you really think deeply into it, it makes so much sense. But focus on you versus you. That's a very powerful saying. Try to look at what your life demonstrates. Your actions reflect your values. Your life demonstrates your values. And what that is tells me who you are and what's really important to you. Envy is ignorance. Imitation is suicide. Here's a key statement you don't want to miss noting on. You're designed to disbelieve in yourself when you're pursuing something that's not true to you. That's not a weakness. That's not a mistake. That's a perfection. That's what your body and psyche is doing what it can to get you to be authentic. So, how do we get aligned with our purpose and values versus being overwhelmed by all the inputs and being bogged down by delusions when you don't even know what's real? This is a lot of people, especially millennials, and I respect you if you're listening to this so far because no one really wants to hear the truth because of what the fear of the hard truth brings. So, the way the values are, when you're living congruently with your highest value and you're actually prioritizing and living by priority every day, when you're true to yourself and you're doing what intuitively feels right to you and not by others, your brain knows that. Your subconscious mind isn't a dummy. It knows whenever your conscious mind is saying things that doesn't add up. That's called intuition. And when you execute on things that you know is right, it takes away distractions. Have you ever felt a time where you're in a state of flow? Like when you feel things are getting done without any motivation. It's real, isn't it? You find that you aren't prone to distractions during those times, and most distractions are impulses and instincts that we think are pleasure and pain, which are not. Because there's no such thing as pleasure without pain, or pain without pleasure. Just like there's no happiness with unhappiness, right? There's always a seed of negativity or a seed of discomfort within the positive or within fulfillment. Which goes back to the third noble truth of Buddhism: life is suffering. To aspire to become happy, you have to be unhappy first. If I say I'm happy, then that means at one point I was sad. And what's said that is one of the most dangerous things is people seek pleasure without any of the pain, which is back to delusion, right? For example, I don't know if you heard this before. I want a significant other who is happy, sexy, a great cook, great body, and will always listen to me and never complain. And then they get smacked right across the face and they go, oh my god, this is not working. This is not how I imagine it to be. When in fact, it's just waking you up to the truth of how it's supposed to be in relationships, and everybody has characteristics, both good and bad. So there's all types of characteristics that we have: selfish, loving, egotistical, dishonest, honest, stingy, compassionate, generous. You can have every single trait there is in the dictionary, and you don't need to get rid of it. You don't need to get rid of any part of yourself to love yourself. But the problem with dreams is that people go out and pursue things that are heavily misled by social constructs, by things people have said, and you're setting yourself up for disappointment about how life is supposed to be. And that causes noise and disturbance in the brain when life doesn't match that. And you're angry at the world because you're thinking it's not what it's supposed to be. So forget about having dreams like, I want to have a six pack, or I want to have 10 cars, I want to be healthy. Sort of a vague goal. Start looking around you instead. What do you do when you're bored? How do you spend your time? Because you make time, find time, spend time on things that are really valuable to you. What exactly is it that energizes you? Because you have more energy in your day when you're doing something that's high value, high priority, rather than doing something that's low value or low priority. Just like I've mentioned in one of my videos, if you're lazy, it just means you're disinterested. So don't let any teacher or parent tell you you're lazy and it makes you feel like you're worthless. You're not. It just means you don't like it. There's literally a kid I knew at school that was called ADD, I guess, but if you put on his favorite video game right in front of him, he doesn't get distracted one bit. No wonder he's ADD. He just hates school because he doesn't value the lessons taught and he doesn't think what the school teaches him is applicable to his life. So, what are you spending your money on? Look at how your money is being spent. That's a good display of your values. Next question: what are you most focused on? The world is a very efficient place. There's a professional in every field, whether it's gaming, cooking, blue collar work, white collar work, any creative work there is, there's a professional that's working on that. So the people who succeed are the ones who are irrationally passionate about their thing. Every human is unique in a way that there's something that they do that they love, and for them it's fun. Find that thing. That thing that all your friends say, hey, how do you do that without getting tired of it? And you don't have to be reminded to do it because you wake up thinking about it and you go to bed thinking about it. Find that thing and get good at it. The world will reward you for it. The things that you suck at, you can delegate. We all have strengths and weaknesses. So just focus on your strengths. What do you think about and visualize and internally dialogue yourself most about how you love your life to be that's showing most evidence to coming true? If there's no evidence, don't make it your thing. That's not it. If there's no evidence, don't fantasize about it. If you can't see yourself as a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, don't even think about it. You shouldn't be working towards that anyways if you don't like it, unless you want to live a life of someone else's instead of your own. You see, the higher the emotional volatility, the shorter the lifespan, generally. If it's something you don't think is right, it's totally not. Your intuition knows that. The chemicals in your body is literally saying this is not where your future is supposed to be. But here's the thing about being emotionally conscious, because most people intentionally ignore one side or the other, we sometimes live in emotional extremities, focusing too much on the bad or focusing too much on the good, really. So you have to see and ask yourself about both sides of the things so you're poised. When you don't, you're poisoned. Your intuition is to constantly be in homeostasis, which is to bring your chemistries, your psychological awareness, your neural associative complexes back into balance. That's why when things are up in life, they tend to go back to neutral, and when things are down, they tend to go back up, you know? Every memory has an anti memory, every facilitation has an inhibition. It's always trying to get back into homeostasis. Misunderstanding or misrepresenting intuition is confusing a gut instinct, which is avoidance of something that's painful with an intuition which is neutralizing pain in the first place. Intuition takes the pain and finds the upside to it, and instinct tries to avoid the pain, like an animal avoiding a predator. So, before I end, before you think about your dream, you're better off approaching it with both sides instead of the ideal. You're going to be much more effective thinking, hey, I'm going to start a business or a relationship or whatever, and expect some upsides and downsides, right? Some good times and some challenges, and I fully appreciate both as they serve me for the good that I desire in my mission. That's a better mindset versus saying, oh, I hope things will go well this year, right? See the shift? It's not really a tactic switch, it's a mindset switch. Because there's no such thing as an up, up, up in a way, positive mania, utopia, euphoria experience. That is probably the most devastating fantasy to have an addiction to. Life is both sides. You're gonna have peace and war. So here's a simple quote I'll leave you with: decide on who you want to become and then act on it. As Steve Martin says, perseverance is the best substitute for talent. Alright guys, that's the end of today's video. Let me know if you stuck with me to the end. I'd always love to know. I appreciate you. Peace and love.